A really popular category that I've seen time and again here at Full Stack for these final projects is developer tools. As the adage goes, write what you know, and developers love to write stuff for other developers. So I don't want to give away too much from this next presentation, but they did a really cool thing, which is a combination of web app and published NPM library. So without further ado, Escape Hatch, take it away.
Good afternoon. My name is Cindy Chen, and I'm here in Los Angeles, California. I'd like to present you with my teammates, Alice Perez in San Francisco, California, Jennifer Tam in Seattle, Washington, and Josh White in Nashville, Tennessee. Today, we're going to tell you a little bit about our project, Escape Hatch. We've all been there. You're up against a deadline. You have to finish a project, but you keep getting the same error message over and over. So you Google the error message, but Google takes you on a wild goose chase when all you really wanted was for someone to point you in the right direction. Worry no more, developers. We developed Escape Hatch, your go-to app for debugging. Escape Hatch is an NPM library that you can use on the back end or the front end. It also functions as a standalone web app. Basically, when you get an error message, Escape Hatch will provide you with a link in your terminal or browser, and this link will direct you to GitHub and Stack Overflow pages about the same error message. You can see how other developers address the same error message, all with just one click. For more details on how we developed the NPM library, I'm going to turn the floor over to Josh.
Our goal for this project was to streamline the process for the development cycle. We decided that the way to do this was through an NPM module /web app combination that a developer can install and attach as a sort of listener to their project. With the module installed and applied, whenever an error is thrown, we base64 encode the error text, and with it, create a link that shows up next to the original error in the terminal or console. When clicked, this will take you off to our web app. Once we receive the request, our web page API kicks into gear. It decodes the error text passed from the link and sends requests to GitHub and Stack Overflow for relevant links on that error, while also querying our database for a history of what other users found helpful when they experienced the same error. We then run some logic to normalize the API data and layer on our database information so that we can sort it and organize it for maximum helpfulness to the user. Once a user is presented with the results, they can click and visit any link, and if a user has an account with us, they can upvote or downvote the link, which then gets associated with both the error they had and the link that was clicked, and this information is used to help weight future queries associated with that error. And now for some of the back-end challenges we faced, here's Alice.
So this sounds pretty cut and dry. Plug in the two APIs, store some information in the database, and voila, the user sees search results. But it's not that simple. We had some interesting back-end challenges to work out. The first thing we had to think through is what needs to happen on the back end when a user upvotes or downvotes a link on the search results page. While the structure of the database is pretty straightforward, we organized information around three models: links, users, and errors. But when either of those vote buttons is clicked, we need to update all three of these tables and three association tables to tie that specific vote with a specific user, a specific error, and a specific link. So this one button click affects every table in the database. And because a lot of these database actions are asynchronous, we also had to make sure that we have all the information we need at the same time or the update will fail. So to solve this, we created a class method on the link table, which uses async and await to make sure all promises are resolved before moving on to the next piece of code. This allows us to create the error in the link, find the user, and then use those promises to tie all of the associations together and update the vote column for the link. The complexity of the database also means that when a user goes to their error link on the site, we need to access columns in our association tables, and SQLize isn't really set up to do that. So we went to the source and used a raw SQL query instead. This gives us the information we need to power search algorithms and also show any votes and links for the user's error. Now I'll pass it to Jen to talk through some of the front-end challenges we handled along the way.
The moment we had the front end collecting data from our APIs in the back end, we thought, wow, connecting with APIs is so easy. However, after parsing through the API data, we noticed the APIs passed some of their fields as markdown. To render the data properly, we had to convert the values to HTML. However, HTML is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, a security vulnerability found in web apps. Attackers can use it to inject client-side scripts into the HTML and do things like steal passwords, infect databases, and exploit user cookies. To prevent this, we sanitize the HTML using a library called Sanitize HTML. Sanitization strips the HTML of all potentially malicious text, leaving only safe HTML behind. There also wasn't a simple way to redirect a guest user to their most recent search result through the front end using React Router or through the back end using any of our middleware. To ameliorate this, we added a property on the front end state with the user's URL path and passed it into our own custom middleware, which used an undocumented Passport.js feature. All of this made it possible for a user to be redirected back to their search results page. Thank you all for listening. We really enjoyed making this application and sharing it with you all. For more information, you can download our library on NPM at escape-hatch or check out our website at escapehatch.herokuapp.com.
That was very cool. I don't know what it is, but I always like projects that can be installed. It feels like you're saying, that nice mixture of something cool plus something that is like for developers.
Yeah, it's funny because even though anyone can go and contribute to open source and make their own library, once you see that package up on the registry, it really feels like, yeah, you've made it.
Yeah. You know how I handle errors in my programming? I just have it send automatic mail to Nimit. So that's why I don't need things like escape hatch, because
I also wanted to say that as an instructor, it's very heartwarming for me to see how these groups, we teach all of them the fundamentals of collaborating through Git, best practices, but this group really internalized a lot of those lessons with protected branches, continuous integration, testing, mandatory reviewers, all these good practices that made for a smooth development experience together.
Yeah, that's like the hygiene that you develop that makes life better in the long run. So it's nice that they're practicing it right from the get-go.